Welcome everyone to our first of two videos on dihybrid inheritance. In today's video, we're going to have a look at the difference between linked genes and genes that are independently assorting from each other. So this type of genetic inheritance will always look at two genes being involved here, and we need to know the difference between two genes that are linked and two genes that are independently assorted. Once we have learnt the difference, we're then going to focus on how we can predict the genetic outcomes for genes that are independently assorted today, and we'll leave linked genes for another video. So let's have a look at the difference. So what exactly is dihybrid inheritance? Well, up until this point in time, we've been talking about monohybrid inheritance, which means we've been looking at inheritance patterns of just one genetic trait at a time. Well, today, dihybrid inheritance, as some of you can probably guess, that di at the start of the word dihybrid is referring to two. So today, we're going to start looking at the inheritance patterns of two genetic traits at the same time. Now, there are two types of dihybrid inheritance. There can be independent dihybrid inheritance, where the two genetic traits that we are looking for appear on different chromosomes. Or we can look at linked dihybrid inheritance, which is where the two genetic traits that we are looking for appear on the same chromosome. So to give you a bit of an example of what that would look like, I'm just going to refer to the diagrams at the bottom of the page here. So if we were looking at an example of independent dihybrid inheritance, and that's what we will be focusing on for the rest of today's set of notes, is independent dihybrid inheritance, where our two genetic traits that we're looking at are on different chromosomes. The genetic traits that we're looking at in the example down here, the genetic trait represented by the A gene, and our second genetic trait is represented by the B gene. Now, if we look at the diagram, we can see that there are a homologous pair of chromosomes here that contain the A gene, which would code for a specific trait. For example, it might code for your blood type. Whereas our B gene is on a separate set of homologous chromosomes, and that B gene codes for something completely different. So it might code for attached and unattached earlobes. Okay, so we've got one gene on one set of homologous chromosomes, so we're representing that with the A gene, and that is located on a different set of homologous chromosomes to the second gene of interest, the B gene, and therefore they can be inherited independently. So they do not influence each other in terms of how they're inherited during meiosis. Linked genes, on the other hand, if we look at the other side of the diagram, so I'm just going to switch colors here. So linked genes, this is the two genes that are found on the same chromosome. So in this example, we've got the E gene and the F gene. Okay, so the E gene might code for, I don't know, something like hair color, and the F gene might code for, I don't know, your ability to digest lactose. Okay, they could be completely unrelated traits. They don't have to be related, but the point that makes them linked, so linked genes, mean that these genes are going to be found on the same chromosome. So we can see that the E gene is found at the top of this homologous pair of chromosomes, and the F gene is still found on the same pair of homologous chromosomes. It's just found a little bit further down. So that means that when these genes are passed on to future generations, obviously during meiosis when gametes are produced, they are more than likely going to be inherited together because they are linked together because they are on the same chromosome. Okay, so just a quick summary. Independent genes are ones that are on different